just part of in the zoning stuff. So we're looking at two things. I know, Mr. Lynn, you were asking, you said something about 32. Well, that's under a subdivision. That's under an ordinance. That's not our code. Our code says 30. And so I guess my concern is, and I asked them this, if your family's living in there and you're back in the back, and they talk about 36 foot wide, I don't know if you've ever seen a 5-inch fire hose laid across a street. There's no going across it. First of all, it's against the law. Second of all, you can't go across it unless you maybe have a 4-wheel drive. There is no houses, quote, directly facing that street, but there's 11 houses at their driveways and their garages face that street. And I can't tell you the number of times we have car fires that are in the garage that we end up now facing that it is on that street. So it's very possible that street gets shut down. I mean, here, right before one of the meetings we were getting ready to have, we had College Street shut down due to a fire that they had to catch hydrants across the street. So it's a very pliable that's going to have to be, it could happen at some time. But it's not just fire. And I guess that's what I need to emphasize. It's in our codes, but it's all emergency equipment. If you have a emergency domestic issue or something in there, but we're at the first of it, you can't get police back in there. You're not going to be able to get med units. If a family member, heaven forbid that someone's having a heart attack and you can't get a med unit back in there, especially the further they get back. You're looking at another, again, he's saying, yep, 7 years. Was taking 20 this far to get this long. That's hoping that with the economics that, economy gets to being where they can do it in 7 years.
Okay.
So that's my concerns. Again, it's nothing more than as far as public safety.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's
I have a question.
Yes.
Sarah, you said you had many meetings. Was that recent?
yes, this year.
This year with this group?
Right. This is the first I've been involved with it. When it originally started, that's been there were two previous fire marshals before me when it was originally started. But I will say this, and I did bring it with me. We've been under the international fire codes since 2003 is when the city adopted the international codes. We used to be under the Southern Building Codes. And in 2003, and again, I brought the 2003 book, the wording for single and dual family subdivisions is the very same thing. It states the very same thing. So it hasn't changed now in 22 years, the codes for that,
Well, I guess my question is, y'all had numerous meetings with this developer very recently, let's say in the past year, over this extension.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I have not a question, a clarity. So you said if it's 30 or more homes, you have to have a second, entrance?
Yes, you're supposed to have that second means of,
It's already, in my opinion, is overdue, what they already developed?
yes,
That's what you're saying?
yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah, I have a
Any other
question.
question? Yes, sir.
How do you make it work?
Right now, that's, we've tried to throw out some things. Like they said, they're kind of in a situation, it's not like they could also say, well, let's just cut a road, going to the west because there is a canal. They would have to basically put their main road in, coming to the back, and then going out the bridge and road that was put in, which is a good distance. I've calculated, I think it's around 2,700 feet of road frontage that they would have to come down and cross over to connect. Otherwise, it would be crossing back a drainage area there on the east side and tying back up to which is ultimately was the original plan was to come back up to Dishman. But again, they're going to have to do a bridge across what's there, not as extensive as the one that is over the canal, but there still would have to do, construction. So, I mean, that's been part of our challenge is trying to come up with a remedy.
Okay, yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. I know in previous developments we've done, when we get to a cul-de-sac, before going forward, or I'm sorry, end of a street, the fire department has had us make what they call a temporary turnaround there.
Correct.
Just throwing out an idea, would the fire department accept a temporary street, not necessarily a hard surface, shell, something that would give you access and that they would maintain? Would this be an acceptable?
We have talked about that. The deal is because of the apparatus weight, their code requires it to be able to withstand 75,000 pounds. And they felt like to build up a base and to have to come in with, some type of, crushed lime rock or whatever they're going to use, that it would almost be as costly for them to do that as concrete. But that was a suggestion that we did, or, an idea that was discussed, which I would be fine with, if it was a temporary, just something that we could have access to that back section of the the development.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, you've had some opposition and you have a limited amount to respond. Would you like to come forward and address that?
I thank the fire marshal for his comments and his concern, but I did want to just, if I could, provide some extra information that we've come across in the city of Beaumont. Is that okay?
Okay,
So these are all different subdivisions around the city of Beaumont. You could pass, there's 8 copies. These have all been in recent, relatively recent development within the last 5 years, as far as we know. And they have all, my apologies, they have all been approved. I assume they've all been approved for the same waiver that we're requesting today. All of these subdivisions are either in development or have been in development, and they all have over 60 lots with one exit. So that being the case, we figured that this would be a reasonable request given that we have 2 planned exits. And I do understand the fire marshal's concerned. However, just given what we've seen and everything that has been done for this subdivision up to this point, we believe that it's a reasonable request.
okay.
That's all.
Any other questions, Pam?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, if you accelerated the building of an additional exit, wouldn't that provide opportunity for an acceleration of additional development? It would help reduce that overhead.
In theory, yes. However, just due to, how do I say this? The current population projection, if you will, it's just not economically feasible to do that, just with the base cost of what that road would be. And the fire marshal and a commissioner brought up the temporary road, and that would be just as, if not more expensive than to extend our road currently as a 36-foot collector street, just due to the fact that it has to withstand 75,000 pounds, and a road of that stature would have to be designed and engineered as well as taken out. The removal process of that road is extreme. So it would cost just as much, if not more. In terms of going ahead and extending the road, it just, with the economics changing every day, with what's currently projected, it's not feasible to do that at this time. all at once.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
It's not economically, I mean, it's a road that would be there for future development.
Correct, yes.
Is that just something totally out of the picture?
Yeah, from what the developer has told us, yes.
Do you have another solution?
Currently, no. The solution is just to maintain development, and it will connect at that bridge that crosses the LNVA Canal.
Okay. All right,
I
thank you,
have
sir.
one more
Yes,
question.
I'm sorry, Bill.
That bridge was accepted by the city after this development started.
Correct.
What was the original plan?
The original plan was to go around, and that's because it was approved originally to do so with the 36-foot wide collector street. And we believe that it was approved on the basis that that collector street can maintain 450 homes per the city ordinances.
The fourth,
450 residences can be built on a collector street according to Beaumont city ordinances.
but there's other needs or other requirements of a collector street other than just fire.
Correct.
That's
I-
only one of the criteria.
Yes, sir. We believe that it was approved, the master plan was approved on the basis of that, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have you discussed it with the county, and do we know what their opinion is?
We haven't really discussed this with the county. No, sir.
No, sir.
You guys come up.
Sir, in order to speak, you have to.
Yeah, we're not ready for you yet, so hold on one second. Okay, there are any
have a
other questions
question.
of this gentleman?
I have a question.
Yes.
In the event that the request is denied, what's your contingency plan?
There is no contingency plan. This would very well halt all development of this property. It's just not feasible to develop it if these this action has to be taken to extend that road all the way either back around to Dishman or down to Keith. It's not feasible to the developer.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. Would you or your developer be amenable to, on the west side of this development, I believe that's West Sage, so this is the area I'm talking about. Would you be interested or agreeable to do something, not necessarily on phase 5, but future phases, to have the same kind of loop connection back to the main collector road?
I believe that could be an option, yes.
And then I guess a secondary question would be to the fire marshal, if he would be amenable to something like that to allow for the development to continue on, if we were able to do a loop connection. I believe there was a part in the staff memo, though, talking about the water supply, and I believe Mr. Broussard was agreeable to loop that water line, and please correct me if I'm wrong in that. So that will be a water supply issue that will be addressed in phase 5. But that's just something I was wondering if you guys would be agreeable to. And then also subpart, if the fire marshal would be agreeable to.
Yeah, I believe that would be an option for sure, yes.
When you say loop, you mean the street would loop? It's-
So
Yeah, can you show with the cursor, please?
Yeah. The idea behind it, right? If a fire were to occur right here, right? Then, and let's say that someone had a heart attack down here. So right now, a fire could may or may not be able to get through right here, but they could loop around here to then get to this person down here. So that would be within the spirit of the ordinance, although would need a waiver, like I said. But if we could also possibly build this out right down here and then do a loop on the east side, somewhat similar to West Sage, and of course I will leave that to the designer to come up with that, or the engineer to come up with that, but somehow do a loop down here should that same exact deal happen. It just provides for better interconnectivity throughout the subdivision. of course, this is not ideal, right? They should have a double outlet, but it's just an idea that I was thinking of to hopefully move the development forward, should it be okay with all parties.
Okay, and thank you. And should they agree to that, we're going to need to address this as is, and they would need to come back, or no?
We
We can
could,
address it now.
we could address it now. I did prepare some conditions based off the feedback I got from other departments throughout the distribution of this, but I think we should hear from the developers or the fire marshal if they would want something like that.
Question then,
Thank you.
do we need to table this and let them
I
get
think
together?
so.
You could.
I think so.
You could, that's an option.
Thank you, sir.
I think
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or opposition? None heard. Public hearing is now closed. You didn't want to speak?
I was just gonna answer your question about.
You have to come forward if that's what you want to do. Okay, if you'll give us your name and address, please.
My name is Troy Whitehead, and I'm with Schomburg and Polk, 8865 College Street. We did have a meeting that the.
I'm sorry, you may need to reopen the public hearing.
Yeah, get close.
I closed it. Okay, public hearing is open again. Yes, sir. May we get your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Troy Whitehead with Schomburg and Polk, 8865 College Street. And I just wanted to address the question about the commissioner in the county. In one of our prior meetings, the commissioner was in that meeting with us, and I believe Philip was absent that day. So they had, early on when we started this development, when the city annexed it, they did not annex Dishman Road. And there was some agreements in there early on that the developers would put in a lift station. That lift station is sized to serve all four corners of the intersection of Keith and Dishman. The wet well and everything was designed big enough to do that. They also ran a water line from the Dishman tank all the way out to Keith Road, a large diameter water line, which is later, since just a few years ago, I think the city came in and connected that down to a larger water line that was on Highway 90, which created a big loop for that side of town. And the commissioner was at that meeting, and his concerns was he was wanting the city to, the county and the city to renegotiate and get back into negotiations for the city taking over Dishman. That was the only thing that was brought up by the council. And I think they agreed to open those discussions up again, and I have not been involved in those discussions any further.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, anyone else who would like to speak in favor or opposition? The public hearing is now closed. Okay, do we have a discussion or a motion?
I make a motion, I make a motion that we table it
Second.
through further design. It's acceptable to all parties.
I second it.
Okay, see, we have a motion to table and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Real quick,
Any in opposition? Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Okay, for staff report, PZ 2025-314.
Access Surveyors requests approval of a replat of Lot 22 River Ranch Edition, Section 2, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, into lots 1A and 2A, Lannomore Edition Number 1, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, containing 37 acres more or less. This property is located within the city's ETJ and meets the minimum city standards for subdividing. The intent of the plat is to divide one tract into 2 residential lots. Staff does recommend approval of the request. We sent 35 property owner notices. We received 5 in favor and 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red is the area under review. And again, no zoning would be out here because this is in the ETJ. Aerial image and replat. And I believe we have the applicant present.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant in the audience? Hi, if you'll give us your name and address, please.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Colby Bracken with Access Surveyors. Our address is 11025 Old Voth Road here in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
I would be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commission.
I forgot to ask, how many do we have in favor and opposition on this?
5 in favor. They didn't give any justification other than just circling yes in favor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or opposition? Public hearing is now closed. Do we have a discussion or a motion?
I move that we accept the proposal.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, staff PZ 2025-342.
Access Surveyors requests approval of a replat of portions of Block 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Oil City Subdivision, First Edition, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, into tracks 9A and 10A Oil City Subdivision, First Edition, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, containing 8 acres more or less. This property is located within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, ETJ. The intent of the plat is to divide one tract into 2. Staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions. Number 1, this is from the Jefferson County Engineering Department. The school district note shall be updated from Hardin Jefferson ISD to Hampshire Finette ISD. And number 2, prior to final recordation, the access easement shall be clearly designated on the final plat as a shared access and utility easement. Property owner notices were mailed to 17. We received 17 owners. We received 0 in favor and 0 in opposition. Area outlined in red is the area under review. Aerial image and the plat. And we do have the applicant present.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, and if the applicant will please come forward. And one more time, your name and address, please.
Definitely. My name is Colby Bracken with Access Surveyors. We're located at 11025 Old Voth Road here in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay, any additional information?
I have
You wanna
noted
share?
the exception, I've notated the conditions and we comply 100%.
Okay, any questions of applicant?
I have a question. These 2 tracks are now very strange shapes. Are these going to be residential, or what is this going to be?
They are residential, yes, ma'am.
Just kind of an odd shape.
I believe Tract 1 was wishing to go further south, but due to Crystal Lake Drive being a private roadway, that would make where Tract 2 is labeled now basically landlocked. And to meet the city minimum standards, we have to be 50 foot wide and touch a public roadway.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing's now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? None heard. Do we have a discussion or a motion?
A motion to approve with the 2 conditions? Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second with the 2 conditions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. PZ 2025-348, please, Demi.
Fitz and Shipman is seeking approval of a replat of Lot 2, Actars at Keith, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, into lots 2A, 2B, and 2C, Actars at Keith, Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas, containing 1 acres or more or less. The intent of the plat is to divide the existing lot into 3 total lots for new residential structures. It should be noted that the tie-in to city services for sanitary sewer services will occur through an existing private grinder pump, which shall be the responsibility of the homeowner to maintain. The grinder pump and associated connection shall be installed to meet minimum standards acceptable to the water department. Planning staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions, being that, number one, the property must receive an approved rezoning from AR, which is agricultural residential, to RS, residential single-family dwelling, to conform to the city's zoning code prior to final recordation of the plat. And that's to meet the lot density requirements. Staff sent 8 property owner notices and received 5 in favor and 0 in opposition. This is the area outline in red that's under review. As you can see, they already have some residential lots built out. They did a previous plat, I believe in 2016. And this is the plat. And I believe the applicant is present.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff? Thank you. And if it's the applicant in the audience?
Never mind.
No? Okay. Public hearing's now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? None heard. Public hearing's now closed. Do we have a motion or discussion?
A motion to approve with the one condition.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are now moving with you, Mayor, to the joint session.
Mayor West. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Turner, absent. Councilmember Crenshaw. Here. Councilmember Durio. Here. Councilmember Hilliard. Here. Councilmember Sherwood, absent. Councilmember Williams, absent.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, staff PZ 2024-250.
Good afternoon, Commission and Council. The City of Beaumont recommends approval to amend Section 28.03.023 permitted uses and adopt Section 28.04.009 short-term rentals into the City of Beaumont Code of Ordinances. The proposed ordinance establishes regulations to protect occupant safety, protect neighborhood character, and ensure proper collection of hot tax from all lodging operations, including short-term rentals. As online lodging platforms such as Airbnb, Vrbo, or VRBO, Guesty grow in popularity, short-term rentals have become an increasingly common accommodation choice. The proposed ordinance introduces annual permitting, safety inspections, and operating standards consistent with best practices across Texas municipalities. It's estimated that the city has approximately 100 short-term rental units that currently operate within the city. So what is a short-term rental? Basically, that is a dwelling unit that is occupied for less than 30 consecutive days. It does not include a hospital, sanitarium, nursing home, other housing facilities. Common examples are Airbnb, VRBO, but it's certainly not limited to just that. And then, of course, I added the authority to regulate at the bottom of this slide. So the STR permit requirements that are in the proposed ordinance, you would have to show proof of hot tax registration, which is hotel occupancy tax, with the state. You'd have to pass a city inspection, so just making sure that the structure doesn't have exposed wiring, deteriorating elements. It is in compliance with the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code. The annual registration permit would need to list a local point of contact. You wouldn't be able to have more than 2 persons per bedroom. No property could exceed more than 10 people without it. And should they want to have more than 10 people, like if there's a large mansion or something like that, there's a couple in Beaumont, they're hidden, but they could get a approved, or they could get a SUP, and if it's approved, they can exceed the 10 people maximum. Parking, minimum of 1 off-street parking space per unit. So if it's a 4-bedroom home, they would have to have at least spots for 4 people to park. There would be a yard parking prohibition for specifically to STR sites, so you couldn't park on the grass or landscaped areas. It would have to be on paved surfaces. Life and safety, so making sure carbon monoxide, smoke detectors, and fire extinguishers are present. Again, compliance with the 2021 IPMC. Proposed fees is $100 for an annual registration. We already have it in our codes that's identified as $75 for inspections. I would propose or suggest or recommend that all STRs must register within 60 days of the passing of the ordinance. So beyond the Planning Commission, it would have to go to City Council. So they would be looking at that beginning of December. Following any revocation of a STR permit, the site would be ineligible for reissuance for a period of 12 months. So they couldn't operate as an STR for a period of 12 months, should they have their permit revoked. Proposed zoning regulations for this. So of course there's grandfathering. So existing STRs prior to adoption of the ordinance that's before you would be grandfathered at their location, but it would not exempt them from the annual registration requirement, which they would have to do within 60 days should the ordinance be approved. New STRs could not be located within 300 feet of an existing STR or short-term rental. The purpose of that is to really make sure that we're preserving our neighborhood character and making sure that you know who your neighbors are and everything like that. There's some areas where, or the goal would be to prevent a block, because 300 feet is typically a city block. Prevent an entire block being owned by a company or rental company that would then take away from the character of the neighborhood, essentially. So on the chart up there, there's a bunch of S's and P's with all of our zoning districts up top. S stands for specific use permit. P stands for permitted by right. Where there's blanks, short-term rentals would not be allowed in. Obviously, saying all of this before you guys can recommend any addition, revision, or anything like that. Same for council. So with that, I would like to, City of Beaumont was the applicant, so if you guys have any questions for me.
How did you identify these, and how will you identify the new ones, especially these things like, how do you know if there's only 2 people in a bedroom, and how are you going to do that? How are you going to identify and monitor?
So right now, the CVB uses a company called Numo, and that's for their hot tax collection. They also, and that's through short-term rentals as well. So they have a built-in database, and should this be passed, we would enter into an agreement with them to help us regulate these zoning or these STRs. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. So we would have them as a company be researching, Airbnb, VRBO, Guesty, all of those sites, and they would then be sending out a letter on our behalf for them to register. Should they not, then that's when code enforcement steps in to, send a letter and identify who the property owner is to try to bring them into compliance.
So that company identifies them and notifies you?
Yes.
Okay.
We would have access to the database.
Okay.
So I have a question about the 300-foot rule. Majority of the ones in Beaumont that I've seen are in apartment complexes, or they're in the townhomes that are all over Beaumont. They normally, for economic upscale, they'll rent 4 or 5 apartments from somebody, or rent or buy 2 or 3 townhomes in the West End or whatever it might be. How are you going to accommodate for that?
That's a good point. So really the measurement would be property line to property line right now. But we could always add a provision in there that would carve out, apartment complexes. Well, I don't know if it would necessarily be apartment complexes, but it would be condos, right? We could do a carve out where condos could be exempt.
I mean, you can an SUP or something for that as well, right?
You could, yes.
So will there be a public available registry of who's on the STR? How would prospective investors that maybe want to buy a property for a bed and breakfast type VRBO, how would they find out if that property would be prohibited by this 300-foot?
So STRs and bed and breakfasts are identified as separate. So it's actually not on this. Bed and breakfast, you would have the property owner there, right? That's the difference between an STR and a bed and breakfast.
Well, so, pardon my use of the language. So let's say you have a prospective investor of an STR. How would they find out if the property that they're looking at would not be available for this registration because there's already one on the block?
So anytime someone tries to bring any kind of business to Beaumont, they should always call the planning department. That should always be step one. Planning department would then have the database, when we could also probably do a map. It's all through GIS. So we could probably do a public facing map too to show where those properties already are. But they should call planning so that we can check those distances for them.
I mean, I'm assuming when you do the application, you guys would,
Of course.
I mean, anyone who's doing business, they're gonna go through the steps properly, you know. I'm gonna go apply for this permit to do the rental on there. If you can't get the permit, you won't lease it or buy it or whatever.
You should always, it's always encouraged to do due diligence before you buy a property. Always call the planning department. But if you'd like, we could always do a GIS public interfacing. We do it with like our code cases. It's available online, and that would show where code cases are essentially. And we could do it for STRs.
I mean, I would recommend that because, you know, just what the Landmark Historic Commission experienced, people don't do their due diligence. So I think if you're going to put that type of restriction in there, then there needs to be more of a public access to that information.
Sure.
Okay, and Demi, we need to do a public hearing on this?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay, public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? None heard. Public hearing is, yes, sir? Okay, you know your name and address, please.
Okay, Colby Bracken with Access Surveyors 11025 Old Both Road. I mainly have a question. I'm not for or against it. It sounds like the STR zoning would be some form of spot zoning. It would not?
It would not. So it doesn't, so if you look at the permitted use table, up at the top, you see where all of the existing zonings are, right? So then you apply that to the map where our zoning map is already at, and it basically just tells you where the STRs can be located. So there's
Overlap?
Yeah, it's an overlay.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion or discussion?
May I ask another question?
Sure.
So I understand the reasoning for all of these, you know, restrictions, that it's safety and, you know, regulation, all that kind of stuff. But I know a lot of people that register their houses or their condos or whatever to be these short-term rentals. They're doing it as a source of income. So doesn't this dampen that when they have to go through and pay fees and registrations and I'll bring it up to code and have all these things done? Aren't you dampening the incentive?
So STRs should always remit hot tax. That's all, that's a thing. They should always remit hot tax. For the $100, I wanted to keep it low to make sure that we're not impacting, but we are also covering the ability to take a car, put gas in it, take a code enforcement officer, we pay wages and benefits to cover those costs to enforce an ordinance such as this. One of the main reasons for even considering an ordinance like this, and I think you said it, is life and safety, right? Making sure that neighborhoods are preserving their character, so on and so forth. But we did want to make sure that we keep the cost of the annual permit low, and it's a one-time fee per year. I believe, and I don't think Miss Willard is here with the CVB, but I believe that the average nightly cost for an STR in Beaumont right now is about $115, more or less. Sorry. Oh, sorry, $85. So just to kind of keep a perspective of what our annual registration fee would be versus what the average nightly cost is here.
Okay.
I'm curious if you know how many are locally owned versus out-of-town people that own them.
That I do not have offhand, no. I would have to check JCAD for each property. There's about 100, but something I could find out for you guys if you want, but it would take some time. I wouldn't have it today.
I mean, I'll tell you, I have some experience in this. What people do, they don't buy it ever. They're gonna lease it from somebody else, and then they're gonna go sublease it for this purpose. That's what they do. So you'll have a local person here, or their grandmother owned the house or something. If you go look at majority of these things that are in town, West End apartments, or it's gonna be the houses that are on the old town. It's not gonna be in Montrose side or anything like that. It's gonna be mostly on the West End, Gladys Apartments, or on that side. Gotcha.
Okay. Any other discussion or a motion?
So I actually have a question before we do any motions.
Go
So are we voting to approve the ordinance as it sits, or because one thing I recommend is adding that SUP permit on there. Some of the existing, or if you want other people, tomorrow somebody from Lamar wakes up, they want to do SUPs. Especially with the residency program coming to Baptist and expanding and growing, a lot of these people who are coming here, some of them can't afford to do pay for hotels or whatever, and it's a good option for them. Or some people are here to do USMLEs or whatever it might be. The reason I'm saying that is a lot of these, if you look at them, they're at Lamar University as well, just because of the testing center. So you don't want to deter what Lamar has going on as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, any revenue that's coming to Beaumont is great, in my opinion.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong on it, but I do have a carve out for, this would not apply to any dormitories or properties owned by higher education. So it wouldn't apply to Lamar. However, if it's not either of those, kind of just thinking on it, I could certainly think about it to add some amendments to it for whatever you guys want to recommend. But I do have it already in the ordinance where no site, which is a property, no property may exceed 10 people in total without an approved SUP. So let's say that it's an apartment complex, and we know that there's 4 STRs in there, and they have 4 bedrooms that they've signed up for those STRs. Then we have so many, and planning would have that data to know that. You already have so many within that property that anything that were to exceed 10 people would automatically kick in the necessity of an SUP.
I got you. But for example, townhomes, each townhome's going to have their own address, and it would not be in 300 foot.
Typically, townhomes have their own property, right? Like they have their own, it's cluster housing. Yes. So that they already have their property lined out. So it should still stand. But if you would still like me to research a little bit more, I can.
I would definitely say do that for that.
So who would be conducting the annual inspection, and where could we find a list, or where could the public find a list of what those requirements are for an inspection to pass?
Yeah, so
to pass an inspection.
So typically, and this is just the last one that planning did, was for the game rooms. We actually had a website that was dedicated for game rooms, where it had your checklist, it had the paperwork that you needed to print out to sign XYZ, all the kinds of ways to sign up. And I know that we would be working with Numo to make sure that we have a website that details all of those things, like the requirements, so that it's very upfront. But again, any questions, you always call the planning office, and we'll have all of that information.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion. I make a motion, we approve file PZ 2024-250. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to PZ 2025.
I just have a question real quick. So if she comes up with information and what they decide they're gonna amend it, you come back again?
If we were to amend based off of
go to
what you
city
guys just
council.
approved, yes, I would have to come back to the planning commission.
Okay, staff PZ 2025-317.
Stephanie Chapman is requesting a rezoning for half an acre property at 5430 Concord Road from residential single family to GCMD, general commercial multiple family, or a more restrictive zoning district. According to the comprehensive plan, that property is located within a stable area, and the existing residential zoning district and the existing surrounding uses align with the designation of the comp plan. The property previously operated as a beauty salon and professional tax service. In 2019, the structure sustained substantial damage from a fire and was demolished by the owner. The city staff has had multiple discussions with the property owner in past regarding potential redevelopment of the site. However, no formal application was submitted until now. If the owner intends to construct and operate a combined tax insurance office at this location, or the owner intends to construct and operate a combined tax and insurance office at this location if the rezoning is approved. If approved, this rezoning could result in spot zoning by introducing a higher density commercial use into a predominantly single-family residential area of Concord Avenue. Approval of this request may violate Chapter 211 of the Texas Local Government Code. Due to the potential violation of state law, planning staff recommends denial of this request. Staff sent 18 property owner notices, and we received 1 in favor and 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red on the screen is the area under review. So they want to take the yellow colored lot and turn it to purple, essentially, for GCMD. This is an aerial image. This is the subject property. Properties to the north, to the east, west, and south. And I am unsure if the applicants are here. The applicants are here.
Jimmy, how close was the neighborhood to this location, that larger neighborhood?
Right behind it.
Yeah, it's directly to the north.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff?
Yes, and I think we've run across this before with the spot zoning issue. And it seems like this is where we're back again, where it violates the charter.
Well, it wouldn't be the charter. It would be a potential violation through state law, Chapter 211. And because there is that potential violation of state laws, planning staff does recommend denial of it.
But it was already a business before.
Yeah.
right?
It was in 2019, and it was, in our ordinances, it does allow for non-conforming uses, given that it doesn't go longer than a 2-year period. Some of the case law even goes back to, and Sheree could probably talk better on this than me, but some of the case law even expands it to 5. Right now, since it happened in 2019, it's going on to 6 years. A rezoning would be necessary for them to do a tax insurance office there. Now, of course, by right, they could build a single-family home. They could come back to you guys for a specific use permit for a duplex. We're also going through the process of a comprehensive plan update. Some of these uses, while largely surrounding uses, and I can go through again, are showing residential single-family around there. This is on an arterial street. But again, just due to the potential of a state violation, that's why planning staff is recommending denial. But going to the surrounding uses, so obviously the subject property, you can see the sign is still there. Residential all around. And of course, we do have the applicants here too.
Okay, so
Question, I
sorry.
guess it's gonna be, because I'm thinking both of these properties, and you showed a vacant lot that was previous business, they were grandfathered in from before. But I guess it's the use change that once that business was no longer there, it goes back to the residential.
So when we have our legal nonconforming uses, so basically it outlines that, you know, if there was a business there and like, let's say that they close the doors and a couple months later they come back with the same business but new owner, we can allow that to go in by right because it's grandfathered. Now, these, obviously it was damaged by fire. So what they could have done at the time in 2019 is built back in that same footprint for the purposes of what the business was when the fire struck, act of God. So they could have come back with that, but at this point, it's been 6 years since doors have closed technically. Maybe longer, but we know 6 years for sure. It's exceeded the length of nonconformity use. And so now it would have to come into, it would have to conform to our zoning code, our current zoning code.
One other question, it says staff has had multiple discussions with the property owner in the past. Was that like this year, last year? Can you give me a little more information on that?
I'll let our planner two speak on this.
We've spoken with her a couple of times. I think there's documentation of conversations early 2020, then COVID happened and we didn't hear anything, and then 21, 22, and this is the first time we've got an application to move anything forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant in the audience?
Applicant?
Yes, sir, if you'll give us your name and address, please.
How y'all doing? My name is Arthur Chapman, 4127 Saltillo Lakes Drive. Just listening to a young lady, and when it goes back to 2019, after the tragic fire we had, I wasn't aware of anything dealing with rezoning. I wasn't given, all I did is call the zoning department and I asked them, I wanted a permit to put a portable building so my business can continue obtaining, and I was told that it was over 60% damage, so I couldn't. They wasn't gonna give me a permit for it. And so COVID happened. I had my wife to do some phone calls, and I asked them also, she did the same thing. She called and they said it was rezoned. I never received a letter. If y'all can present certified letters showing me that it was rezoned, and the reason why we have other businesses and we end up renting from another location, and after we was told that we couldn't have it zoned back, we didn't know where to start. We done talked to the mayor, we done talked to different people, but we didn't get no response. They just told us they was gonna work on it. So we didn't give up. We just waiting on a response. And that's why the 2019 into now, as we continue with our business and different things, we don't want the property sitting there. And we've been there a long time. It used to be a store a long time ago. So it was commercial way before we even bought the building. And there is a commercial, there's more than one commercial buildings the pictures don't show. Counter corner, there's a commercial building that does commercial. Matter of fact, that building right there to the left is a cabinet. It was also commercial. When y'all put in the 4-lane, they was, I think he battled with the city because they wanted put him residential, but he used to build cabinets and his lot was commercial. Right now, as you can see, that right there is, he's renting, he's making money. It's not Airbnb. I don't know if he came and rezoned and got the permits for it, but right across from him is a place that fix on small engines. That's a commercial. Go down the street, there is a man that fix tires. So it's commercial around there. Keep going. You got Target. So we're not trying to get into the residential. We're just trying to service the neighborhood because we've been there for so long and everyone knows us. And we just been always there and want to service Beaumont. And that's all I have. If y'all have any other questions, just let me know.
Mr. Chapman, how long have you owned that property?
That property, how long? Man, it's been a long time. My wife, she bought it from the previous owner. So it's been 20.
Okay, and then after the property burned down, and then where did you move your new location?
We moved to 11th Street. What's the address?
It's okay, I don't need it. You say you moved to 11th Street, and you've been there for how long?
10 years.
Okay.
11th Street, but my wife, she'll come tell you that
Okay.
she know more about that. About 10 years, I'm familiar. I know this guy right here. We rented from him.
Okay.
That's who rent us the building.
Hang on one second. Any questions of Mr. Chapman? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. If we could get your name and address, please.
Stephanie Chapman, 4127 Saltillo Lakes Drive in Baytown, Texas. When this happened, I was devastated. When I bought that property, it was commercial. I purchased a commercial property. That's all I did at the time. I didn't work no job. I worked hard to get where I was. That was not my fault of what happened. It happened. And when it happened, my business I was full. I couldn't take any more workers. I was successful. They all had to leave. They had to nowhere to go. So I lost all my employees. I called the city. I asked if I could put a portable so we could keep working till we get something done. I was always turned down. I never stopped. I did pause because I just didn't know what to do. And every time I'm getting a no, I'm feel like, well, this is what it's going to be. I talked to the mayor that was in there last year, I think. I've talked to other people. No results. So I said, okay, I come down to the city. I was treated ugly. I left. I left it alone. And I talked to my husband and I said, I prayed about it. I want to see what I got to do to get my property back. And then that's when I called and they told me I called. They told me they was going to call me back. Nobody called me back. I went back down there, and this was just recently. I went back down there, and then it was a little young lady. She told me she talked to a supervisor, and her supervisor told me what to do. So I did that. That's how I got an application in. Okay. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't paused because I didn't want it. I just didn't know what steps to take.
Okay.
I'm a minority, and I would love to have the opportunity as a minority to reopen my business. Okay. I have insurance agency. I do taxes. I do a few different things. It's not a lot of traffic. I don't cause problems. Problems don't come to me. We just had a situation.
Okay.
So, I mean, I did what I was supposed to do, and yes, I did come right in, and I was turned down, even for a portable.
Questions of Ms. Chapman? Thank you.
And nobody, one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody called me. How I knew it was zone residential, I went down there asking about the property again. Nobody contacted me. It was just done.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, is there anyone else who would like speak in favor or in opposition? Yes, ma'am, and we've got a 3-minute limit on this, I'm sorry. May we get your address, your name and address, please?
My name is Frances Bowman, 5415 Concord Road.
Thank you, Ms.
In
Bowman.
Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
Could you put my home up on the screen, please?
Is it that one? Which one's your home?
That's it. I live directly across from the shop when I moved there in 2000. I used her beauty salon. There was no problem with that salon there. I've been there 25 years. She is a minority woman who has aspired to own her own business. They're fine people, never gave that house any problems. No policemen, other than when she had the tragedy. I'm here today as a citizen to request that they be given an opportunity to restore their business and to be in the community. The last time I checked on Corncard, there were 18-wheeler truck stops. There were car washes. There were lawnmower places to be repaired. And there were empty lots. Before you get to my house, there's a chicken place. There's a Walgreens that's closed. And I thought I was moving into a community where I could walk to the store, walk to Walgreens, and then across the street from my house, I had a beauty shop. How convenient. But something happened. Put the gray house up, please. This house was a residential and business place. The part that comes out was a workshop. It was hidden from the city. And also, the remodeling was hidden from my city until they found out what was going on. And then they cut the wires.
And Ms. Bowman, I have to interrupt you. Your 3 minutes are up, but thank you for your comments.
I'm in favor of the young lady and her husband getting
Yes,
the
ma'am.
property back.
All right, and we thank you.
So much, Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Macon.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? None heard. Public hearing is now closed. Do we have a discussion or a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
No.
What is the real downside to a spot zoning in an area where you have other businesses? I mean, the downside of the city of Beaumont?
I think it might be more of a question for legal, but that's okay. The purpose is, so you have a comprehensive plan, that area is designated as a stable area, which means it's free of blight. And again, let me preface, this comprehensive plan was adopted in 2002. Nonetheless, it's the one that's in effect now. Your comprehensive plan controls your zoning map. Okay, so with the zoning map back then, they identified that area to be residential. Now, some of the areas that they were talking about next, so this map has been in effect since 1981. That it's always been rezoned. However, that area may have been operating as a commercial space, but the zoning on top of it was always residential. But they've always come through with the same business for the most part, or similar business as it relates to intensity. So the property, this one came before commission a few months ago. It was turned in that they were completing remodeling work without the benefit of a permit. They were trying to turn it, I believe, into a quadplex, but that area, as we know, is zoned as residential single family. Came before Planning Commission. Planning Commission denied their application for a rezoning to accommodate a quadplex. So the most that they can have is a duplex. Regarding the shop and everything, I'll be sending code enforcement to check in on that. Okay. We'll also need to check up to make sure that they're using it as a duplex. But there's precedent in the past to denying rezones of this area. Again, planning staff is recommending denial because it could violate Chapter 211. What comes of that, I'm not going to say, but what comes of that is going to be a determination of what Planning Commission wants and council, but planning staff does recommend denial to err on the side of caution.
I have a question with that. I know in previous times, spot zoning was an issue because it was actually one particular structure that was out of place. And in this one structure is really not out of place with the area that it's in. And I'm trying to find out, is this something that y'all need to sit back and talk about again and bring, or do we just need to vote on this and then let's just go to council?
So I think it's important to understand the timeline. So at the time that some of these other existing businesses that are commercial were created, it predated the comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2002. So if they were already in existence prior to 2002 and consistently operating their business, then they were able to maintain their status. So what that means is that that tire shop had been in existence for several years with ongoing operations, then they were allowed to continue and be in existence. Even if that tire shop changed ownership, if it still maintained their commercial status, they would not have been interrupted in their business status. Why? Because that section was grandfathered in and it allowed for that. Post 2002, anyone who ceased to operate a commercial business in that area, that property then reverted back to its original status, which would not be commercial, it'd be residential, because that's how the comprehensive plan designed it. So although there are other businesses that are operating in that area as commercial, they've been operating continuous without any gaps, which means they would maintain their status as commercial.
Is there any room, the fact that an act of nature, a fire, stopped this, they would override this time period?
That falls back under our non-conforming uses. So the time period, I believe, the time period that's identified is 2 years. But we always try to make sure that we're aligned with case law. And right now, the property has been closed to that use. Obviously, because the fire happened and demolition happened, it's been closed to that use since 2019, which is over 6 years now.
Because of extenuating circumstances, is there a possibility of a waiver for the timeline?
No, sir. No, sir. Their option is to get it rezoned. That's their option. But again, planning staff is recommending denial because it's I'm erring on the side of caution. It could violate 211, but it's now the decision of the governing bodies to see what's best for the city of Beaumont or the interest of the city.
Can you tell me again what 211 is?
Yeah, that's the name of the chapter.
No, I mean, what does it say?
The local government code, the state law.
Thank you.
And when you use the word could, that's pretty much not definite, right?
Planning staff recommends denial.
So staff report is based on
whole thing is because they didn't do anything.
historical references relates to case law. And so for my other attorneys, and I'm looking at Commissioner Mason who are on the board, you know that case law varies based on the specific facts. So there's no way to determine whether or not it could be. So there's not a definite. This isn't a situation where the law says no. For example, we know if you shoot someone in the head point blank without justification, it may be murder, right? Unless you have a justifiable reason to have done that, right? The person was charging you with a knife, a gun, or whatever. So there's never a clear-cut thing to say that you shouldn't be. We also know that there's some extenuating circumstances to why you could maybe get out of a speeding ticket or a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt. But we also know that that's a carte blanche. The law says you have to wear your seatbelt, and the law says you have to drive under the posted speed limit, but there are some exceptions. So the law is very clear as it relates to what a violation could look like. However, there is some exceptions that could be made or some concessions that could be made by a judge. This commission has the ability to determine whether or not the waiver is inappropriate for the city. Staff made a determination based on historical precedences and case law.
What I wish that there was the opportunity for a specific use permit, but right now our ordinances don't accommodate for that. But I'm hopeful that through public input, through the comprehensive plan process that we're undergoing now, which is a 1.5 year long process, that maybe it'll come with some recommendations to our zoning code to modernize it.
Is an overlay not an option, like you were talking about earlier? No.
Not for this instance. An overlay could accomplish like conservation districts, design overlays, those kinds of things. But in this instance, a rezoning would be the appropriate route, which is what has been recommended for the applicant to endure. However, because of the facts, planning staff recommends denial. Again, it's just a recommendation, but that's why we recommend it.
I have two follow-up questions for that. So in the past, we had asked for a zoning study on a limited scope. Is that possible here?
You can.
And would there be a different zone that might accommodate what they're trying to do, like neighborhood commercial, or would that still be or is anything that's not RS going to be spot zoning?
So if you do a rezoning, typically you're obviously canvassing the existing uses of those properties and what would look right or adhere to the goals of the city council, planning commission, city ordinances. But a rezoning study is something that could happen if we were directed to do so.
When the individual stated that they had some question about having not received the proper knowledge or the information about the project and they were unaware, does that come into consideration as well?
This property's been zoned as residential single family since 1981. Now, it may have operated, like Sheree had said, it may have operated as commercial because it predated 1981 as commercial property. So long as they continue to do that, their legal nonconforming status continues. But because it was closed for 6 years since 2019, the legal nonconformity or grandfathering is no longer at play. And so now they would have, whatever's built there would have to conform to the current zoning ordinance. If they wanted to build a tax insurance office there, they would have to get a rezoning.
So to answer your question, had the city did a comprehensive plan that changed that area from residential to general light industrial or something to that nature, we would have been required to give notice because it would have had to come before you and they would have been able to speak on that. But because there was no change in the actual zoning of the property, notice was not required.
Okay, so it's not a case that the zoning changed, it's a case that the use changed.
So no, not exactly. So when a property is rezoned, it comes before the commission and we're required to send notice to individuals that that property is being considered for rezone and the citizens come and speak about it. In this case, the actual zoning for that area has always been residential commercial. So it was just grandfathered for a non-conforming use.
Okay.
And so when it ceased to be operating as commercial, it reverted back to its original condition, which was residential. So there's no notice because there was actually no change in the status of the property. So the grandfathering of the property, as long as the continued use is commercial, that property could have been sold. As she said, she brought it as commercial, and that's a fact because at the time it was commercial and she continued to operate as commercial. And had she sold the property within the 2 years, it would have been sold as commercial and anybody could have used that property as commercial. It's the non-conforming use that when it stopped being operated for a continued period of time, it reverts back to its original use. Think of it as someone with curly hair. If you stop straightening that wears their hair straight, when you stop straightening it, it reverts back to its natural curly state.
I just wanted to clarify that because there was some confusion in the language of how people were talking about it, that it had changed. No, it didn't change. It was just being used for something else.
Correct.
I mean, if we did approve GCMD, suppose we did that, do they have to get a specific use permit then?
No.
Or would this be the final thing?
This would be the final thing.
But if that were approved, then, and they chose to leave, that's wide open for anyone else to come in and do something else, correct?
That is, there is the option of, so it was written or advertised, the rezoning for RS to GCMD or a more restrictive zoning district. Should Planning Commission want to move forward, you could always recommend GCMD 2, which would necessitate a specific use permit. But that's to yours and council's discretion.
And I have a question for our attorney. So when we were talking about, well, this might be in violation of state law, and you said, well, there's different circumstances, this is what the law says. Who makes that final decision?
Well, that'd be a judge, right? So somebody would actually have to challenge it and file a lawsuit against it. I don't know that we had anybody in opposition, but anyone around could say, I disagree with that and file a lawsuit to challenge it.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm sorry, the public hearing's closed. Okay, we've had a lengthy discussion. Do we have a motion?
Yes. Can I make a statement before I make a motion or just?
Go for it.
Okay. I know the purpose of zoning is to protect the public, and part of the public are property owners and business owners. And I think this is an extenuating circumstance. The same property owners have owned this property for an extended period of time to no fault of theirs. Their business ceased, and I hate to see them penalized and caught in a trap in a legality that punishes them in the name of protecting the public. And so as a result, I would like to make a motion that we approve the rezoning. I'm open to
A second.
Wait, are
I have
we
a
talking
Can we-
CMD2?
two, yes.
Okay, so would you like to clarify your motion, please?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve this as a GMC2 rezoned property.
GCMD2.
Yes.
CMD2, okay.
Second.
We have a motion, is there?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as a GCMD2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Yay, the motion carries. Good luck to you.
I believe you had 2 members abstain. Could you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
The next one, okay.
Okay, not this one. Okay, staff
Sure who the
PC
second was, though. Was it me or Bill?
2025-346.
I'm not sure who the second was. I don't know if it was me or Bill. Did you, okay.
Got it.
Matter. That'd be somebody else.
Kyle Mulvey of Pape Dawson is requesting approval of a rezoning from RS to GCMD, or a more restrictive zoning district, for properties located at 3209, 3211, and 3213 Shannon Avenue. The intent of the rezone is to allow for commercial development of a quick-service restaurant. According to the comprehensive plan, this is located within a conservation revitalization area. Commercial development along this corridor is appropriate with its proximity to Lamar University and connection from Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway. It should be noted that this site is in close proximity to the existing residential homes to the west and south. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the rezoning from RS to GCMD2, not GCMD, GCMD2. The GCMD2 district will require an approved specific use permit prior to development of this site. Staff sent 24 property owner notices, and we received 2 in favor and 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red is the area on your screen. As you can see, this property abuts GCMD existing zoning districts, which is why staff can support this zoning district. But because of its proximity to the neighborhoods to the west and potential neighbors to the south, obviously those are not built up yet, to the south, I recommend that this should be rezoned as GCMD2. This is the aerial image. Subject property and east. To the west. Northwest. To the north. And to the south. And I believe the applicant is present? No? Yes? Yes. Applicant is present.
Okay. Are there any questions of staff? Okay. None heard? Okay, the public hearing's now open. Is the applicant in the audience? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Mulvey with Pape Dawson. We are located at 2107 City West Boulevard, Houston, Texas.
Okay. Mr. Mulvey, is there anything you'd like to add to this information we already have?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions that the Commissioner Council may have.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone who would like?
Located at 12430 Keith Road, Mr. Akhtar seeks to change the zoning from AR to RS to divide a singular lot into 3 residential lots for the existing subdivision. According to the comprehensive plan, this property is located within a low-density rural area. The proposed residential zoning district and existing surrounding uses appear to align with the intent of the comp plan. Planning staff recommends approval of this request. Staff sent 8 property owner notices. We received 5 in favor, 0 in opposition. For reference, this was in pair with that replat earlier in the regular agenda. This is an aerial image. Subject property in north, east. It's actually a very cute little subdivision they have out there. West, south. And I believe that the applicant is present. No applicant is present.
Okay,
I'll do better next time.
questions of staff? Okay, thank you. Public hearing is now open. The applicant in the audience, just to verify. Okay, anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Public hearing's now closed. Do we have a motion or discussion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Staff, PZ 2025-353.
All right, last one. Jamie Guzman is requesting approval of a specific use permit to allow a new construction of a duplex within the residential single-family dwelling district located at 690 Shell Street. According to the comp plan, this property is located within a stable area. The construction of a duplex appears to align with the comp plan and would be a good opportunity for infill development. As such, staff recommends approval of the request with the following condition. Construction plans must meet all requirements by water utilities for water and sanitary sewer services, including any requirements of the city's backflow pretreatment and/or fog program. Staff sent 32 property owner notices. We received 0 in favor, 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red is under review. And again, this is for a duplex. Aerial image. Site plan. Subject property. To the west, to the east, and to the south.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant in the audience? Yes, sir. If you'll give us your name and address, please.
Jaime Guzman, and if you got 2365 Rainier, if you have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Guzman, how long have you owned the property?
3 or 4 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, and it's just been vacant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have you built duplexes before, any other buildings?
No, just houses.
Just houses, okay, that's it. That works. Okay, any questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Public hearing's now closed. Do we have a motion or discussion?
Move for approval with one condition.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second with the one condition. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Yay, Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Was like 9 things. The pre-meetings, yeah.